Hearing this October 7th, 2023. I'm pleased today that we have Reverend Dr. Bright of Turner Chapel AME Church. He will be providing our invocation, which will be followed by our pledge. For those of you willing and able, please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, Madam Chairwoman, and we greet you this morning, and we thank God for this invitation. Let us pray. Oh God, we thank you this morning for your grace and your mercies. We declare great is your faithfulness toward us. We thank you for Cobb County. We pray for the commissioners. We pray you will endow them with power, love, and a sound mind to do your will. We pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in their deliberations and decisions they make. We thank you for their leadership and commitment in making sure Cobb County is safe and prosperous. Your word tells us if any lacks wisdom, this you ask. We pray, oh God, that you will endow them with wisdom. We pray you will cover and protect our county and keep us safe from all danger and harm. We pray, oh God, for everything to be done in decency and order. We pray for the peace of this world, the peace of the United States of America, the peace of Georgia, and the peace of Cobb County. Bless us all now, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend Bright. Our meeting is now called to order, and I will turn things over to John Peterson, our zoning manager, to walk us through today's agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to you and the board. Today's hearing will be conducted with the following process and procedure. Each case will be called in numerical order. We would ask that the applicant please stand and raise their hand when their case is called so they can show that they are in attendance. After that, we're going to call to see if anyone here is opposed to that specific case. We would also ask that the opposition please stand up and raise their hand so they can be counted for the official record. And after recognizing the applicant and any opposition, both parties will be asked to come forward and be sworn in. The applicant will testify first, and then the opposition, if any, will testify second. It's important to note that each side only gets 10 minutes to state their case or concerns. There's not a rebuttal process, and there's not a process to reserve your time, so you need to convey all your information to the board within your 10-minute time period. Additionally, if there's more than one person who wishes to speak on an issue, you may want to coordinate with each other about what you're going to talk about, because each side only gets 10 minutes, and you don't want to cover the same information over and over. After that, the board will start to discuss the case at hand. From the discussion, they may ask one or more speakers to come back to the front for additional comments or questions. After that, the board will make a decision to either approve, deny, hold, or continue the matter at hand. There is one case on today's printed agenda which has been withdrawn without prejudice, and this case will not be heard today. That's rezoning case Z31, Dwell Communities LLC. This case has been withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard today. There are a number of cases on today's printed agenda which have been either held or continued by the staff or the Planning Commission, and these cases will not be heard today. First case is rezoning case Z15 of 2023, SDP Acquisitions LLC. This case was held by the Planning Commission until the November 7th, 2023 Planning Commission zoning hearing, so Z15 of 2023 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z30 of 2023, Quick Trip Corporation. This case was held by the Planning Commission until the November 7th, 2023 Planning Commission zoning hearing, so Z30 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z32 of 2023, Toll Southeast LP Company, Incorporated. This case was held by the Planning Commission until the November 7th, 2023 Planning Commission zoning hearing, so Z32 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z39 of 2023, Tunnel to Tower Foundation, was continued by the staff until the November 21st, 2023 Board of Commissioners zoning hearing, so Z39 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z40 of 2023, Atlanta Remediation Group, LLC. This case was continued by the staff until the November 7th, 2023 Planning Commission zoning hearing, so Z40 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z42 of 2023, William and Lydia Taku. This case was held by the Planning Commission until the November 7th, 2023 Planning Commission zoning hearing, so Z42 will not be heard today. Z43 of 2023, Suel Kazani. This case was continued by the staff until the December 5th, 2023 Planning Commission zoning hearing, so Z43 will not be heard today. LUP 23 of 2023, Alfredo Diaz. This case was held by the Planning Commission until the November 7th, 2023 Planning Commission zoning hearing, so LUP 23 will not be heard today. SLUP 7 of 2023, William and Lydia Taku. This case was held by the Planning Commission until the November 7th, 2023 Planning Commission zoning hearing, so SLUP 7 will not be heard today. Other business item number 40 of 2023, Curley Family Homes LLC. This case was continued by the staff until the November 21st, 2023 Board of Commissioners zoning hearing, so other business 40 will not be heard today. And finally, other business item number 45 of 2023, Alan Barron. This case was continued by the staff until the November 21st, 2023 Board of Commissioners zoning hearing, so other business 45 will not be heard today. And before we start our hearing, I would like to ask the folks in today's audience, if you have a cell phone, please turn the volume off on your cell phones. When the phones ring, it does interfere with the broadcast and the presentation. And lastly, any person, I want to remind applicants, opposition, or any interested party that information is due to this board the Wednesday prior to this hearing date. Any information submitted after the Wednesday due date may or may not be considered by the board at their discretion. And with that, Madam Chair and Board, I'm ready to start the consent agenda. Cobb County Board of Commissioners zoning hearing consent agenda for October 17th, 2023. First case on consent is rezoning case Z35 of 2023. Suzanne Lemad Brown and Barbara Lemon Kilgore request a rezoning from NS to R20 for a single-family residence in land lots 486, 516, and 517 of the 18th District. The property is located on the northeast side of the intersection of Oak Ridge Road and Blair Bridge Road. The Planning Commission recommends approval of Z35 to the R20 zoning district, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, Planning Division comments and recommendations. Number 2, Fire Department comments and recommendations. Number 3, Stormwater Management Division comments and recommendations. Number 4, Water and Sewer Division comments and recommendations. Number 5, Department of Transportation comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicants are here. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z35? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed.
Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to add another condition. If the existing house will be rebuilt or substantial changes made to the exterior, the final elevations are to be approved by the district commissioner, and all other staff comments and recommendations not otherwise in conflict.
Okay. Is the applicant amenable to that additional condition? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next case is rezoning case Z37 of 2023. Jose Juan Merez and Graciela Tapia Merez request a rezoning from NS to NRC for retail commercial in land lot 132 of the 17th District. The property is located on the south side of Pat Mill Road, west of Favor Road. The Planning Commission recommends approval of Z37 to the NRC zoning district, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, site plan received by the zoning division on August 3rd, 2023, with the district commissioner approving the final plan. Number 2, district commissioner to approve the final building elevations. Number 3, no outdoor storage or outdoor display of merchandise. Number 4, no automotive repair or sales. Number 5, fire department comments and recommendations. Number 6, water and sewer division comments and recommendations. Number 7, Department of Transportation comments and recommendations. And number 8, hours of construction to be Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z37? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed.
I have another
Okay,
condition.
go ahead.
I'd like to add the following conditions. Prohibited uses to include dollar stores, liquor stores, pawn shops, vape and smoke shops. Final use to be approved by the district commissioner. Business hours are to be Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sunday 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The district commissioner to approve dumpster or trash location on the final site plan. If a dumpster will be added at the location, it is to have masonry enclosure with steel gates, and at no time shall the dumpsters be stored or placed in front of the enclosure. Enclosures are to remain closed when not in use, and all other staff comments and recommendations not otherwise in conflict.
Okay, we're good? All right, the applicant is good with those conditions.
Thank you. Okay, next case is rezoning case Z41 of 2023. Isaac Washington requests rezoning from R30 to NRC for an office in land lot 144 of the 19th District. The property is located on the south side of Dallas Highway, west of Morris Hill Road. The Planning Commission recommends deletion of Z41 to the R30 zoning district with a limited professional services permit, subject to the following conditions. Number one, for this applicant and use as a professional office for a plumbing business only. Number two, no outdoor storage. Number three, no heavy equipment. Number four, all vehicles must be parked in striped spaces on a hardened surface. Number five, 20-foot landscape buffer to be planted adjacent to all residentially zoned properties. Number six, signage to be approved by the district commissioner. Number seven, revised Department of Transportation comments and recommendations dated September 27th, 2023. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z41? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. And moving into other business cases on the consent agenda. First case we're going to hear is other business item number 43 of 2023, which is to consider amending the stipulations for Yakov Merling regarding rezoning application Z152 of 1995. The property is located on the south side of Chastain Meadows Court and on the north side of Big Shanty Road in land lot 438 of the 16th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number one, professional offices are added as a permitted use. And number two, all previous stipulations not in conflict with this amendment to remain in effect. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 43? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Other business item number 44 of 2023 is to consider a reduction of required minimum lot size from 20,000 square feet to 13,930 square feet for Joseph Kalanji. The property is located on the north side of Carson Lane in land lot 698 of the 17th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number one, lot size approved to be 13,930 square feet. Number two, stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 44?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed.
Pastor, you almost gave the applicant a fright thinking there was some opposition. Thank you for being here and providing our invocation again today. All right.
Okay. All right, next case is other business item number 46 of 2023, which is to consider approving the site plan and use for Alfie Igbanali regarding rezoning application Z52 of 1998 for property located on the north side of Sandy Plains Road, east of Ebenezer Road, and land lot 525 of the 16th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number one, site plan contained in the other business packet. Number two, group home for up to 4 residents only. Number three, stormwater management comments contained in the other business packet. Number four, site plan review comments contained in the other business packet. Number five, fire department comments contained in the other business packet. And number six, Cobb DOT comments contained in the other business packet. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 46?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed.
John, we have a comment. Thank you.
Yes, and I discussed this with the applicant prior to the meeting. But I'd just like to reinforce two steps that are in staff comments. One would be with 4 residents, you have to have the house sprinklers, and also the maximum impervious for LRO is the 70%. And he's good with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on consent is other business, item number 47 of 2023, which is to consider amending the site plan and stipulations for Gardner Group regarding rezoning application Z51 of 2020. The property is located on the north side of the east-west connector, east of Brookwood Drive, and land lots 855, 856, 922, and 923 of the 19th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, site plan received by the Zoning Division on October 11th, 2023. Number 2, variances approved as stated in the other business background section. Number 3, stormwater management comments. Number 4, fire department comments contained in the other business packet. And number 5, all previous stipulations not in conflict with this amendment to remain in effect. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 47? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed.
Okay, we do have additional comments.
Yeah. I would just like to submit to the clerk later, I don't have it printed, the Dobbins approval letter from when this was originally done, and also the FAA approval.
And that's for the next case, Commissioner Burrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, say that for the next case.
Things are moving so smoothly, I can understand. So just going back to OB 47, I'd like to add the following conditions. No new dollar stores or discount stores to be in the shopping plaza, including if the current Family Dollar store no longer operates at the location. No new auto-related businesses, including but not limited to emission inspection stations. Applicant to install irrigation and turf at 1300 East-West Connector as submitted by the landscape plan approved on November 21st, 2021, and submitted to the clerk for the record. Landscaping is to be installed no later than April 30th, 2024. The final landscape plan is to be approved by the county arborist and the district commissioner. All previous stipulations not in conflict with this amendment to remain in effect.
Okay, is the applicant good? All right, thank you, Parks.
Okay. Next case is other business item number 48 of 2023, which is to consider a lot size reduction from 20,000 square feet to 9,339 square feet for Miyoko Thompson, property located at the northwestern end of Leland Drive and land lot 854, the 17th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, lot size for cell tower reduced to 9,339 square feet, with the cell tower and related equipment being the only permitted use on this lot. And number 2, stormwater management comments. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 48? Let the record show there's no one opposed.
Do I need to?
Please, go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. I would just like to add for the record the letter from Dobbins from when this was originally zoned and FAA approval.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, last item on consent is other business item number 49 of 2023, which is to consider a reduction of public road frontage from 50 feet to 0 feet for Tract 1 and to 19 feet for Tract 2 to allow parking and maneuvering on a non-hard surface, which is gravel, and to allow setback and location variances for the existing sheds on Tract number 1 for John Charles Crenshaw and James Andrew Crenshaw, property located at the northwestern end of Callaway Ridge Drive in land lot 197 of the 20th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, site plan received by the Zoning Division on September 12, 2023 that shows the public road frontage reductions and other variances. Number 2, stormwater management comments contained in the other business packet. Number 3, fire department comments contained in the other business packet. And number 4, no further subdivision of this lot. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 49? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed, and that completes the printed consent agenda, Madam Chair and Board.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any other additions? Commissioner Gambrill has another addition.
John, I'd like to add OB 50 to the
Right.
consent agenda.
Let me go ahead and read that one in.
Thank you.
Other business item number 50 of 2023 is consider a site plan amendment for Cedar Crest Church, Inc. regarding rezoning application Z164 of 2006 for property located on the east side of Cobb Parkway, north of Autry Church Road in land lots 36 and 37 of the 20th District. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 50?
No.
Let the record show there's no one opposed, and I'll turn it over to the commissioner to make her recommendation.
Okay, John, would you please read the recommendations in for the record?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
The staff would recommend the board approve the request, subject to the site plan contained in the other business packet, subject to the stormwater management comments contained in the other business packet, subject to the water and sewer comments contained in the other business packet, subject to the fire department comments contained in the other business packet, subject to Cobb DOT comments contained in the other business packet, and subject to the email from Kevin Moore dated October 16th, 2023.
Okay, and then I would like to add that all previous stipulations and remand orders remain in effect. And then as to the letter from Kevin Moore that was sent to the board dated October 16th, number 1, it says the church and its engineer are researching, I'm going to add the multiple approved landscape plans by the designated landscape committee, just for further clarification. And I spoke to Mr. Moore about that prior to the hearing.
Thank you. Mr. Moore is raising his hand in agreement to the conditions. Okay, Commissioner Sheffield, did I see your hand up for a change? Okay. Any other changes needed to the agenda? Commissioners, I move that we approve the consent agenda as it has been revised.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners. All of you who are here as a part of the consent agenda are free to leave at this time, as we will soon move into our regular cases, which will be heard. Thank you for being here.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, first case on the agenda is LUP 19 of 2023. Gonzalo Castillo requests a temporary land use permit to allow more vehicles than the code allows in land lot 143 of the 20th District. The property is located on the north side of Memorial Parkway, west of Jim Owens Road. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant here for LUP 19, Gonzalo Castillo? Is there anyone here opposed to this case? Madam Chair, there's 2 people opposed, and the applicant is not present.
Okay. I don't know if this is the first time. This looks like it's a held or continued case. I presume the applicant may not have been here the first time?
Yeah, they did not show up last time.
Okay. For our commissioner, what would you like to do?
Actually, I'd like to clarify that. So the first time this was heard in August, the applicant did not show up for the planning commission meeting.
Okay.
He did show up for the planning commission meeting in September.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, he did not show up in September. They denied it. He did show up for the Board of Commissioners meeting in September. We then held it to today. So
What would you like to do?
I'd like to go ahead. Can we reach out and attempt to contact him and then hear it at the end of the meeting?
Okay.
Because it won't be that long of a day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Is someone going to reach out to the applicant? All right, thank you.
Yes. So we'll put that one on hold right now and move
Okay.
on to LUP 21 of 2023. Okay, LUP 21 of 2023, Leslie Gonzalez requests a temporary land use permit to allow more vehicles and adults than the code allows in land lot 795 of the 19th District. Property is located on the north side of Hopkins Court, east of Hopkins Road. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant present for LUP 21, Leslie Gonzalez? Is there anyone here opposed to LUP 21? Madam Chair, the applicant is not present, and
Okay,
there's no one
Commissioner
opposed.
Sheffield, what would you like to do?
Yeah, this is a very similar situation, and my understanding is that the applicant has not appeared at the PC meetings either over the last several months.
And we did reach out to them.
Okay. Did you make contact in advance of this meeting?
Emails have bounced back and calls have gone unanswered.
Okay. Was the last call to advise or remind of this meeting?
I'm sorry, can we just get this on the record?
Oh,
So if you
sorry.
could just step up to the mic for this
Thanks,
information.
Bill.
We're just going through a due process procedure and providing
Sure, I
this. I want to make
appreciate
sure we have
that.
that
Can
in
you
the
please
record.
Thank you.
state, yeah, please state your name for the record before
Jeannie
we
Payton,
continue.
zoning.
Thank you.
And the applicant for this case has been contacted related to this hearing. Emails bounced back and calls went unanswered.
Okay.
Okay. But you have not spoken with anyone, you just left messages?
I was not able to speak with
Okay,
someone.
all right, fine. All right, thank you, Jeannie.
How long have we held or continued this case?
At least since.
LUP 21 was continued from your September hearing.
Well, if we would, just out of the spirit of courtesy, make another contact. And if she's calling now, and if she's not here, then we'll just make a decision towards the end of the hearing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Next case is rezoning case Z36. Manchester Inc. requests a rezoning from R20 to LRO for an office in land lot 15 of the 17th District. The property is located on the east side of Austell Road, north of Hicks Road. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z36? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
So we'll just let you know that you have 10 minutes to provide your presentation. The timer's not working on on the podium there. I'll let you know when you have 2 minutes left. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
My
State
name is-
your name and then address your presentation to the board, please.
Okay. My name is Michael Onyorimbo. I'm the owner and the administrator of Manchester Home Care, currently in Powder Springs. We acquired the property on Austell to develop our own office. After we bounced around from different offices for a couple of years, we wanted to have our own permanent office. Currently, the building is zone R20. We're trying to get a low-rise office. It's going to be a two-story office. The intention was to have the office building up, and whenever we have an in-service, we'll be down. I have my surveyor over here to help me. I don't know what else to say. So we have the sample of how the building will look like at the back. So
It's gonna have a basement that goes out.
I'm sorry, sir. We have, yes, you'll have to approach, and have you been sworn in as well? Okay.
It's also gonna have a basement floor that comes out to the back, as it's a pretty steeply sloping lot, so, but it's gonna look similar to that. Thomas Pay, surveyor.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah.
All right, does that conclude your presentation?
Unless y'all have
It's
questions.
up to you. You have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If there are questions after we hear from opposition, the commissioner will call you back.
Okay, we tried to meet all the requirements that we could as far as the LRO goes. We were asking for a couple of variances on the setbacks that are listed on the plan, and, you know, we're gonna landscape it and have full engineering plans, meet all the requested staff requirements through the engineering. He's gonna hire full architectural and full engineering plans that would, need to be approved at the LDP stage.
Okay, thank you.
Other than that, have anything?
All right, I perceive that concludes your presentation. We'll hear from opposition, and if we have any additional questions, we'll call you back up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, just checking once again to see if there's any opposition here for this application. Okay, not seeing any, I'll defer to the commissioner.
Thank you. I'd like to have the applicant and I guess the surveyor approach, please. Come on back up.
I'm sorry, sir, it's going to be back at the podium. Thank you.
Just have a few questions for clarification. Can you please confirm the total square footage of the building? I thought I saw two references here, but can you just confirm the square footage, the total square footage of the building?
I think it's, that's the lot size, right?
Well, we're reducing the lot size to 16,000. The square footage of the building off of 3 floors,
1,200.
yeah, would be like less than 5,000 square feet total on all 3 floors.
Okay, because I thought I saw here in the application that the square footage was 1,226.
Yeah, that would be per floor, so.
Okay,
it'd be
all
like-
right, that's what I needed
Yeah.
clarification on, per floor. And you mentioned that you have and I didn't exactly hear what type of business, but you're looking to move a business to this location?
Yes.
Okay, and what business is that, sir?
It's a home care agency.
Home care agency, okay. And what other type of businesses do you plan to have here, do you know, or?
Currently, I can't think of any right now.
Okay,
It's
all
just
right.
professional office.
Professional offices, okay,
Yeah.
that's good enough. So, and I'm going to have stormwater come up, but there are some concerns on this application with respect to stormwater management, and the placement of the detention pond is one of those concerns. Can you share with me the distance from the detention pond to the property lines?
We would keep it out of that 10 feet landscape strip that we propose back there with the reduce. The landscape buffer, we want to reduce it to that 10 feet. So we'd stay at least 10 feet away. And I envision that there would be a small wall back there, just to come right to that.
Okay, but based on the current site plan, what's the distance? It's a little fuzzy and difficult to read, but can you?
It's probably at 9 feet, but we would be okay to make it at least 10 feet away from the.
Okay, so what we're seeing now, there's a 9-foot distance on all 3 sides of the detention pond.
Well, on the back, there's at least 10 feet on the north and the south, but on the back, it's about 9 feet, but we would be okay with it to be 10 feet there.
Okay.
You know, like I said, it's not been engineered as
Sure.
far, you know, we just showed the general location on this plan, but it would have to be engineered and approved through stormwater. He realizes that, you know, he might end up with some pervious pavers or whatever it takes to require, he's sensitive to
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Being low down there in that part of the property.
Okay, thank you,
yeah.
thank you. And reading the stormwater comments, there's fill material and soil that has either been brought to the site or was on the site, but it was pushed towards the pond on the east property line. Are you aware of that fill material on the property?
No,
I mean, yeah, there appears to be somebody used that, I don't know, you know, didn't see anything, it was like a landfill, but yeah, there is some fill material in the front, like somebody had started to try to grade the lot at one time, and then looks like they gave up their plans. But yeah, all of that, he would have to do soil testing and everything through the land disturbance process, and he's aware of that.
And also for the applicant, have you spoken with the property owners at the adjacent parcel? Because in reading through the notes, it appears that you will need an off-site easement. Have you spoken with the owners at the adjacent parcels?
currently, no.
You have not. Okay, are you aware through the comments of stormwater, and I'll have them come up shortly, that the stormwater will have to run off on another property? Are you aware of that?
Well, the water as originally drains off on another property. Our engineers would propose, you know, that we would either detain or over-detain to where water, no additional water would be come, and they may use something called a level spreader, so it wouldn't be a single point discharge onto the other property or whatever's required. We would like not to have to get an off-site easement, but if we have to, you know, he would be willing to do that, but he would rather detain or over-detain to
Sure.
where, you know, no more water would be coming off of this
Sure, okay,
as it is, yeah.
okay.
You know, if need be.
Okay, and I'll have stormwater come up shortly, but while I have you up here, I just have a few more questions. For the security of the building, will the building have open access to the public, or will it be, have some type of security where you can only enter with some type of badge or other device or fob?
It will be open from the driveway, from the front.
Just open for the general public, like anyone can just walk in the office building? What type of security will the building have?
We're going to have a camera, actually. We're going to be a camera. We're going to put a fence around it at the back. But from the front, it's like every other office, you can see it. We're going to have a camera, you know, 24-hour camera.
Right, but as far as access, can just someone from the public just open the door and access the building? That's what I'm asking. Or will it be locked and you can only enter with a key fob or some type of badge?
Yes, it will be
or-
locked completely and entered by only the employees with a key.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's all I have for the applicant. I'm sure there'll be follow-up questions once I hear from staff, so if you guys have any questions, you can ask at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Hi, Andrew Heath, Cobb County Stormwater Management.
Thank you for being here today, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for responding to my email on yesterday. But in reading through the comments, there appeared to be some challenges or concerns that that staff has expressed. But I wanted to first confirm, and I know that the site plan is a little difficult to really gauge the distance from the property line to the detention pond. The applicant quoted that it's 9 feet, but, it looks a little smaller than that, but it may not be to scale. So if you can just kind of share your feedback on the property lines, and also you and I discussed yesterday some alternatives to repositioning the detention pond, if you can just share that for the benefit of everyone, I'd
Sure,
appreciate it.
absolutely. So, as you say, this site plan is a little bit difficult to read. Usually from
Pardon me,
the-
Andrew, would you mind just moving the mic up?
Oh, there we go. Can you
Okay,
hear me
yeah,
better?
that's a little better, thank you.
This detention pond is a little bit, or the site plan, I should say, is a little bit difficult to read, as you say, but typically the minimum for a detention pond would be where the 100-year pool limits is within the pond is supposed to be a minimum of 12 feet from the property line. Now, depending upon how the pond is constructed, if there's an earthen dam, then the 100-year limits is going to be inside the pond, so you'll have some additional width that will be necessary for the dam and the dam slope. This pond, it's hard to tell. That rear area of the site plan from the topography that's presented on the site plan is very flat. So that would lead me to believe that the detention pond is going to be essentially dug into the ground, and there won't really be a dam per se. It's going to be sort of like an excavated hole in the ground. So in that particular case, the 100-year limits could probably be about 12 feet from the property line. And that might only require the pond to be either, if it's a traditional sort of earthen, that is just an earthen excavation, perhaps scooted away from the property line, or as the applicant mentioned, maybe they could use some walls associated with the pond that would help them to get more volume in a smaller area, and then that smaller footprint of the pond could then still be 12 feet away, but it wouldn't take up more of their site. So that's another potential option there as well. And one of the items that we wanted to discuss, though, about the pond, and really any pond configuration, whether it was a traditional earthen detention pond or even if they were to move the pond further into the site and perhaps make it an underground pond, those contour lines that you see on the site plan that sort of bulge out toward the east, that is the right side of that site plan. At some point in the past, some material has been brought in and kind of filled in and pushed over there onto that adjacent property. And so an engineering challenge for this site plan and the detention pond is that when the pond is in place, of course, eventually the water in the pond has to leave has to leave the pond through a pipe. And that pipe has to outfall at a lower elevation than the bottom of the pond. And so if the detention pond is, let's just say for this site, 5 or 6 feet deep, then the pipe is going to have to outfall at an elevation that's a little bit more than 5 or 6 feet lower than that, and that elevation is going to be over on that parcel to the east. And so as the applicant was mentioning, it's not so much an issue that right now the water currently does drain that way to the east and drains onto that property, but it just drains through overland flow. It just trickles over the surface here and there. It's not concentrated. It's not coming out of one pipe like it will be at the completion of construction. So the characteristics of that runoff is going to change onto that parcel to the east, and the parcel to the east will also have to have and agree to have that pipe installed onto their parcel to be able to drain the pond as well. So they're going to need to coordinate, if possible, with that property owner to the east about obtaining an easement to allow that pipe to be installed and accept that runoff coming just strictly out of a pipe versus just draining, over the overland flow as it is now.
Okay. So you are confirming that we will definitely need an off-site easement, and the pipe would definitely have to run towards the east on the east property to the east.
As I see it now, yes, where the pond is located, I don't see a way, unless the applicant's plan, and that's not really reflected here, but unless the applicant's plan were to really fill this lot up, bring a lot more soil in and really raise its elevation so that the pond that they're proposing to build is going to be a lot higher than what's shown. If they did that, then they might be able to outfall without getting off their site, but that would require a substantial amount more fill.
Yeah. Okay. And would it matter if it was an underground detention? the issue be resolved slightly that way, or it's really of no consequence?
Not really with respect to the pipe, because the underground pond, although it's going to be underground, its bottom is going to be somewhere near the same elevation as it would be if it were an earthen pond. So the elevation of the pipe is going to remain more or less the same with either alternative. The distance from the property line issue, I think that would largely be resolved. If it were underground, you have a lot more flexibility to move it around, and so the distance from the property line, that would be alleviated.
Okay, all right, thanks. That's all I have for stormwater management, for stormwater, unless you guys have something. No, thank you, Andrew. With this case, the building looks beautiful. I'm encouraged by the development, but I'm concerned a little about the stormwater. And I want to hold this case to give you an opportunity to speak with the property owner to the east, because that property owner will be impacted by this development. I'm not sure if you have contact information for the property owner and just not had an opportunity to speak with that person, but I want to hold this to give you an opportunity to do that. I think the development would be great. I think that the building has the potential, or the architecture or the elevation of the business, of the building, has an opportunity to change the look of the corridor. But I need to make sure that the property owner to the east is not adversely impacted by this development. So, John, I'd like to make a motion to hold this case, to give the applicant an opportunity to speak with the property owner to the east regarding the off-site easement.
Second.
Well, I didn't include the date, so I'll just, let me just get the date. It's the 21st? Okay. So I make a motion to continue or to hold Z36 2023 to the November 21st Board of Commissioners zoning hearing.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions or discussion?
Yeah, I don't know if this would be the appropriate time, but I would like to meet with the applicant and Andrew, if we can sit down and schedule some time to meet to give him clear direction. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I don't know if the applicant just heard that.
Did you hear that I will schedule some time with Stormwater and with you and also with your surveyor for us to have a meeting, so you'll have a clear path and direction forward? Okay.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments or questions? All right, call the question. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, next case is rezoning case Z38, Benchmark International Incorporated. Request rezoning from R20 to RA5 for single-family residences and land lot 770 of the 17th District. The property is located on the west side of Spring Hill Road and on the south side of Simpson Road. The applicant's representative is present. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z38? Let the record show there's no one opposed.
Kevin, I'll let you know when you have 2 minutes left. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Thank you. And good morning, Commissioners. I'm Kevin Moore here on behalf of Benchmark Homes in this application for rezoning. Benchmark Homes is a local semi-custom builder and is bringing this project to you for rezoning of 0.9 acres from its existing category of R20 to the proposed category of RA5. This property is located fronting on Simpson Road, a small local road, off of Spring Hill Road, which is off of Paces Ferry Road. From a location standpoint, think the Home Depot headquarters. This is just west of that as you go towards Atlanta Road on Paces Ferry Road after you pass over the interstate. Showing on your screen now, you'll see the 0.9 acres highlighted. And as you kind of step back from that view, what you see is that the property directly across Simpson Road is zoned RA5, RA6, RA5. If you go back even, kind of get even a wider view of that, you'll see that this particular area has undergone continued transformation from what was our 20 properties have been redeveloped in either RA6 or RA5 over a period of time to be very, very nice homes. In fact, Benchmark Homes has built several and many of the homes within this particular area. It's also why they were able to receive a very favorable response from the neighborhood. We've received emails, calls, very much in support of what Benchmark Homes is proposing here, which is just a continuation of the exact type of home building that has been approved and has undergone in this particular area, which is why we're seeking the same category of RA5 for this section along Simpson Road at its intersection with Spring Hill Road. We can turn now to the site plan. I'll kind of go over that with you, but I really want you to remember, and if we have to flash back, we will, the RA5 that's directly across the street and how those are arranged in terms of those 4 lots as well. So turning to the site plan. I'm going to go through a little bit of the site plan for you. It's fairly straightforward. It's a total of 4 homes. Each of these lots does meet the requirements, minimum lot sizes for RA5. You can see it's RA5 across the street like I was speaking to. The 4 homes will be built and have price ranges that really will exceed $900,000 over $1 million, which is what new homes and existing homes are going for that have been built and redeveloped in this area is the proposed price range. So it's in keeping with that, both from an architectural standpoint, size standpoint, and price point perspective. One of the highlights that I want to give to you, though, is that if you read through staff's comments, you'll notice that there are a number of variances. But I want to explain those because I think they have to be taken into context. In 2018, the RA5 I was pointing out to you before was rezoned in 2018 to RA5. It had variances. It had variances for setbacks that had setbacks, a front setback of 25 feet, side setbacks of 5 feet, and a rear setback of 20 feet. For these proposed homes, when we initially filed our application, we wanted to make sure we were mirroring that had been approved previously, directly across the street. Same size of lots, but same exact setbacks. We had proposed setbacks of 25 feet on the front. We actually had done 25 feet in the rear and made sure we were at least 5 feet minimum side setback, but really it's a 15 feet between structures for each of those, which mirrors the exact same thing that had been approved by the Board of Commissioners in 2018. Subsequently, DOT's comments reflected along Simpson Road and along Spring Hill Road that in this instance, as opposed to 2018, DOT is requesting a dedication of some additional right-of-way for these small roads because they do not meet their standard widths that they have now. As a result, we would be dedicating 12 feet along Simpson Road, and therefore our setback for the front has to be reduced from 25 feet to 15 feet to accommodate that dedication. But from an overall standpoint, visually and aesthetically along Simpson Road, our homes are the same distance from the curb that the ones across the street are. We just have to dedicate additional right-of-way in order to accommodate that, and therefore that variance occurs because of that dedication of right-of-way. The other dedication of right-of-way occurs along Spring Hill Road, and likewise we are requesting a small variance there. We were meeting the requirement as it exists, but with the dedication, we are requesting a variance to accommodate that dedication of right-of-way along Spring Hill Road. Likewise, our reduction in the rear setback matches or actually exceeds the reduction that was granted for the homes across the street. Their rear setback is 20 feet. Our rear setback is 25 feet. Even more so for this home located directly across the street on Simpson Road. A variance was granted in 2020 to reduce their rear setback down to 6 feet. So again, what we're proposing is entirely consistent from a setback orientation standpoint from what has previously been approved by the Board of Commissioners in the zonings, not just in the area, but directly across the street. Again, this application, we have worked very closely with staff. It's received a staff recommendation for approval, which is supportive of the variances. Again, the variances and the overall rezoning are entirely consistent with prior approvals by the Board of Commissioners and by the county for property in the area and for property directly across the street from this proposed property. In addition, the Planning Commission, after holding its public hearing, also recommended approval as submitted with these same development standards in place. Again, Benchmark Homes has built in this area and built quite successfully. Its homeowners have been thrilled with their product, filled with their homes that they have bought from them. Neighbors in the area, likewise, are consistent in their support for this proposed rezoning and project from Benchmark Homes. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. We also have representatives, the owners of Benchmark Homes here as well, and we would respectfully request your approval of this rezoning application. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there any opposition? Okay, not seeing any, I'll turn it over to the District Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I would like to call up DOT first. Thank you. Mejia.
Good morning, Ligia Florem, DOT.
Awesome, thank you. So there were quite a few concerns kind of brought up in the previous hearing around this, and I do know that there were comments that state that the roadways, there isn't a perceived impact, or at least it doesn't provide an increased burden to the area to put these homes here. But I do understand that the roads themselves do need to have changes. So if you could just kind of walk us through what some of those changes being requested are in order to accommodate this, improve the right-of-way being granted, because that fifth variance is pretty steep.
Okay, so yes. So the roads are Spring Hill is a minor collector and Simpson Road is a local road. And therefore we have standards for the right-of-way that is required along those roadways. For Spring Hill, we require a minimum of 30 feet from the center line. And for Simpson Road, we require a minimum of 25 feet from the center line. Currently, neither one of those meet the standards. And like it was expressed before, they're trying to comply with our request to donate the right-of-way to bring those roads up to standards on the right-of-way. So I'm going to concentrate on Simpson Road since that's the frontage of the road. What it does is moves the right-of-way line closer to the building that they're proposing by about 15 feet, 12 feet, I believe. And that means that they're from the right-of-way, the new right-of-way line to the frontage of the building, there won't be enough. They're required that we typically require 25 feet distance. Now they will only have about 15 feet between the new right-of-way line and their property. I'm sorry, in their building. Therefore, that would be substandard in that respect, and that's why they're requesting the variance. That will mean that potentially a truck that is 18 feet long, I don't know, trucks are typically 10 to 15, 18 feet long, could be infringing upon the right-of-way because now we have a right-of-way closer to the house. Mm-hmm. However, in this case, since it's a local road on Simpson Road, we will be okay. I don't think that we will be opposed to that because they are accommodating to our requests for the right-of-way, and it will be just a minor infringement. We're not talking about people parking on the right-of-way. So that is the concern, but it's not a concern to us as much because it's only a minor infringement.
Okay, and then Simpson Road, I'm just curious, does it need improvements today without the zoning?
Not today, but in the future it might.
Okay.
I know there's another development at the end, and it's a dead-end road after that.
Okay, thank you. Gamble.
If I can add on, with the right-of-way, will the driveway be able to park the required number of vehicles and not be in the right-of-way in case there's some future changes?
I don't have the number of vehicles that they will be allowed to have outside, John, but it would accommodate, it will have 15 feet in front of their garage door. So they could potentially park 2 cars in front of their garage door if they're allowed to. However, if it's a longer vehicle, it will infringe upon the right-of-way line.
Right.
Okay.
John, do we know the size of the homes and how many vehicles they could have?
You know, just looking at the driveway, Commissioner Gambrill, I think they can get 2 cars on the driveway side by side without going into the right-of-way. And 15, you know, it's possible if the cars aren't like trucks, they could probably get them tandem 2 and 2, so they could probably get 4 on the driveway without them sticking out into the street.
Do we know what size the homes are and the number of cars that would be allowed based on the size of the home?
The homes are going to be 3,000 square feet, so that would allow, 5 or 6 cars based on square footage.
They will not be able to park 6 cars in front of their garage. The total length of the driveway will be around 25 feet.
Okay. Okay, and I know at some point we'll bring the applicant up as well and can address more particulars about the site plan on those links and things as well.
Right, and let me point out, Lot 4 is even less, so because the road is curving, so it's a little less than the 25 feet from the edge of pavement to the front, to their garage door.
Thank you.
Commissioner Richardson, what have been parking concerns with the other similarly developed properties?
I haven't heard any directly, so
Okay,
it was, yeah.
okay.
I don't know if anyone else has seen anything directly, but I have not.
Okay.
Thank
Not
you.
in this area, but, that I'm aware of, but they would still have to comply with the code of 4 outside, no more than 4 outside. And I know that was Commissioner Gambrell's question about if they could get 4 outside in the right-of-way.
They probably won't unless they're small cars, because it's only 25 feet between the edge of pavement and the garage door.
Okay.
I'll ask that question once we pull the applicant up as well, or we'll have a chance to.
And John, you look like you have something to weigh in on.
Yes. Hey, CP, can you put the GIS photo from the analysis up on the screen? So I just measured the driveways, and they're at least 30 feet long on the proposed lots. If you look at the house directly across the street, there's 1 car in a driveway, a white car.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's enough room in a driveway to put 4 cars in it without it sticking into the road.
Yeah, I think 4 cars, regular cars, will fit.
Yeah.
But I guess,
Thank you,
John,
John.
my question point is, there's right-of-ways, say they expand the road, it's going to take the driveway down to 15 feet, then they won't no longer be able to park the 4 vehicles outside. Correct?
Well, that's a possibility, Commissioner Gambrill, but I think if you look at this road and, if you zoom out a little bit, this is a dead-end road, so I don't think there's too much opportunity to expand it and make it wider than its current 25-foot paved section on it. So I'm doubtful it's going to be made wider.
Okay. Then it begs the question, why do we need 15 feet of right-of-way? But that's another conversation.
They always want right-of-way, Commissioner Gambrill.
All right, any other questions for DOT? Thank you. Stormwater.
Good morning, Andrew Heath, Cobb County Stormwater Management.
Good morning. And there was pretty extensive, I know that there were some concerns about stormwater management with these 4, and it was contemplated that the site plan review process would accommodate quite a bit in terms of analysis and maybe even alter the final site plan. And so if you could just kind of walk us through those some of those recommendations with what, as far as there's a hydrology study, et cetera.
Right. And many of our comments are, excuse me, just standard comments that we would require on any project, hydrology study, and analyzing the site's effect on the downstream properties, storm drainage systems, and things like that. And with this particular property, I think the things that kind of made it special is that the Simpson Road frontage in front of the property, it has a little bit of a crest, a little bit of a high point, not exactly in the middle of the parcel, a little bit to the side, and that crest in Simpson Road sort of divides the site. And some of the site kind of drains away to the northwest, and some drains away to the southeast. The majority of the site kind of wants to drain away to the southeast. And so on a traditional site, you might think, well, we would use a detention pond, but that's difficult if you can't get easily the whole site to drain to a centralized pond. And so our recommendation in looking at this is that this site might lend itself better, particularly since it's only 4 lots, it might lend itself better to trying to address the stormwater management individually on each lot, as opposed to trying to have a single centralized pond and then try to backwards figure out how to get the water to the pond, since all of the property doesn't naturally want to drain to that one pond. So our idea was to examine doing something on each lot to manage the stormwater that from the development. However, and I believe Tim Davidson with Water and Sewer can address this, but we had a concern about having access to sanitary sewer. If there weren't access to sanitary sewer and they had to have a septic tank system for the lots, then of course the septic tank system would require its own drain field, and the lots are somewhat compact. So if we had to have a septic tank drain field on the lot, then now we're starting to try to get a lot of stuff on the lot, the septic tank, the drain field, the stormwater management system, all competing for space on the lot. And but I believe that issue, like I say, Tim can probably speak to that more directly, but I think the sanitary sewer issue is settled such that they would have access to sanitary sewer. They wouldn't need a septic tank and drain field on the lot, and then that would enable us to do some sort of stormwater management on each lot.
Thank you. Those are my questions. Does the commissioners have any? It's kind of interesting to ask these without the opposition presentation here, but okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And before I call the applicant up, are there any other members of staff that you would like to call up? Okay. Kevin, it's your turn. So there were 2 main questions that came up from staff's presentation. One was around the driveway.
Sure.
And what has been contemplated as far as the cars, given the donation of the right-of-way. And then the second one is with regards to access to sewage.
Sure. I'll answer access to sewer. We do have access to sewer and have a sanitary sewer plan. Our engineers confirmed that, and that's not an issue. So these will obviously have sanitary sewer. Likewise, our engineer had pre-met with stormwater to go over how that stormwater was going to be handled on a lot-by-lot basis, and feels extremely comfortable with that, but understands they've got to make sure that that they're not the ones that are comfortable, but Cobb County Stormwater is comfortable as well. As it relates to the driveways, again, these driveways are going to be at minimum 20 feet, 25 feet in length, and that will be from outside of the newly established right-of-way, if not further. And again, that accommodates the standard that is in Cobb County for driveway lengths. This wasn't an issue in 2018 when 4 houses were built across the street with the exact same parameters as far as development standards. It's not an issue for this builder whatsoever in this instance. Again, this isn't a situation where they're parking cars all over the street and right of way. These are homes just like you find anywhere else. These will have minimum 2-car garages. Garages are not available for anything but parking cars. You can't convert them or make them into storage and therefore force more cars outside. But the driveways do meet Cobb County standards as it relates to that. And as DOT stated, they're fine with what our proposal is in terms of the driveway lengths and in terms of the driveway widths and in terms of where you may have a foot or two that encroaches into quote right of way, keeping in mind it's not the street, it's not the curb, it's just the grass that's in front of your house that's turned right of way on a street that will never be improved beyond what it is now, unless I can't imagine why the county would spend a lot of money to improve or widen this street. That's a dead-end street and a local road. All of that taken into consideration, especially DOT's comment that they're perfectly good with it, to me means the question, while a legitimate question, has been satisfactorily addressed.
Thank you. Any other questions for Kevin, for the applicant? All right.
Thank you.
To be analyzed, because there hasn't been an analysis to determine if there's a required detention pond. And so in the Planning Commission, there are some notes to speak directly to that as well.
Presume that can be addressed in plan review?
Yeah.
If I can answer the question that was being asked about potential underground detention, given the hydrology and the preliminary review by the engineer and also meeting with stormwater, it's there. Like I said, they're very comfortable that the stormwater management can be handled on a lot-by-lot basis without the need for underground or above-ground detention here. Of course, if that can't be achieved, then they'll have to put in detention and would therefore lose one of the homes. But we weren't going to come this far without being extremely comfortable that that can be achieved. So that has been looked at pretty intensely already.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. So I'll move on to my motion, which will be highly reflective of the Planning Commission's motion. So I will motion to approve Z38 with the letter of agreeable conditions dated September 25th on file, with item number 4 revised to say the proposed residences shall have a minimum of 2,700 square feet and greater. All units are to be for sale. If determined that a dedicated stormwater detention pond is required, that the a homeowners association shall be formed to oversee maintenance of that detention pond. All lots will have a minimum of 25 feet distance from outside the right-of-way to the garage structures, minimum of 15 feet between homes. Each home shall have a separate driveway, no shared parkways. Development construction hours to be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. until 8 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. until 6 p.m., and no work on Sunday unless approved by the district commissioner. All homes shall have a minimum of 2-car garages that cannot be converted to living space or used solely for storage. And for the final site plan and elevations to be approved by the district commissioner, and all staff comments and recommendations to be included as well.
All right. I'll second. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Burrow.
Yes. I have a problem with the land use being LDR and 4.5 units per acre and the variances.
Okay, Commissioner Gambrill.
I'm unable to support this as well, but what is more concerning is the stipulation that the district commissioner can approve Sunday work hours. I struggle with that because, again, code is the code, and, there's no communication and such, so I really struggle with some of the additional stipulations.
And I can revise that. That just was kind of in that list of stipulations recommended, so.
Okay, do you want to modify it?
I will modify it to not include Sunday hours at all.
Okay, I'll second that. Any additional comments or questions? Call the question. The motion passes 3-2 with Commissioners Burrow and Gambrill in opposition. Okay.
Okay, Madam Chair and Board, the applicant for LUP 19 has shown up, so we're going to recall that case and restart that one.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Before we do that, if we will, we just, in looking back over the notes, we noticed that although you did approve consent agenda as revised, we need to actually reconsider that and add OB 50 onto the consent agenda. We skipped one stop, and we apologize for that. So.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Bill. Commissioners, why don't we go ahead and address that right now before we go to LUP 19? Commissioner Gambrill, if you'd like to make that motion.
Okay, I would like to add OB 50 to the consent agenda as read previously.
Okay, so moved as she presented. Is there a second? Are there any
Second.
questions or comments with respect to adding that to the consent agenda? All right, call a question. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Do our clerks have that properly reflected? Thank you.
But that's what her motion was, as previously adopted, so. I think
We
we're good
shouldn't
now.
have to vote again for consent since we already had that vote. We just voted to add that to consent.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and go to LUP 19.
Okay. LUP 19 of 2023, Gonzalo Castillo requests a temporary land use permit to allow more vehicles than the code allows in land lot 143 of the 20th District. The property is located on the north side of Memorial Parkway, west of Jim Owens Road. The applicant is present. Earlier, there were 2 people here opposed. Are those 2 people still here? It looks like the opposition has left. So would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
That's interesting. Exactly. We're going to swear them in, but this does create a bit of a nuance without opposition being here that may have perceived that we were not going to hear this. So, but we do have the applicant here, which has been a challenge all throughout this time. I'd hate for us not to hear from them. But Commissioner Gambrill just would like for us to consider how we move forward, even if you were to hold this and then. Okay. Okay, before we bring them up, Jeannie, yes, there was a question if this is LUP 19 or LUP 21. Thank you, appreciate that. Commissioner Gambrill. Again, you have the proponents here, but you don't have opposition here. Just curious to know before we have them present how you would like to move forward.
Yeah, this is challenging because I know they had a presentation, and I also had sent a picture that they had sent to me last night. I think I would like to have the applicant come up because I do have a couple questions for the applicant, so we'll have them hear it. And I also know the opposition that was put on record at the Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, so you'll address perspective of those that have concerns.
And also code enforcement is here to address some issues as well.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. You can approach the podium here and provide your presentation. Please share your name for the record first.
My name is Maria de Los Angeles Morales. I will be translating for Beatriz Castillo. She's the owner of the property.
Okay, thank you.
She has some complaints about having too many cars in the driveway. And they said it was only like a small house for so many cars. She has Two college kids that they have their own car now, this year, and she has her personal car, her husband has the personal car, and they have a van for work.
Okay,
And that van is kind of like on and off, and that's actually the only issue. And otro complaint?
Sí, pero ya fueron a chequear.
Okay, they were complaining also about some tree debris, but they were removing trees from their property, which is already clean and taken away.
okay,
And they were, her daughter got a little goat for her birthday, which was like a little tiny goat, and the other daughter had a little lamb, little tiny one. So they were removed from the property because I don't think they were, got permit to get a pet purposes.
okay, thank you. Anything else to add?
No, that's it. We just want to make sure that the property is big enough for the cars.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, again, just confirming there's no one here in opposition to this matter. And seeing none, I'll turn things over to the district commissioner.
Okay, I'd like to ask code enforcement to come up.
Good morning. I'm Yolisa Forson from Cobb County Code Enforcement.
Yolissa, if you could just give us a history on this property, please, and what code enforcement has found.
Okay, we received a complaint in January of 2023 in regards to the amount of vehicles at the house. The complainant stated that there are 6 or more vehicles there overnight. So an officer went out to inspect the property at the beginning of February and issued a notice of violation for single-family dwelling. We placed the case on early morning inspections. That's when an officer comes out about 5:30-ish in the morning to see how many vehicles are at the property before they leave for work. During that investigation, the officer saw about 4 vehicles at the property, but they didn't have many days that they were out of compliance. And I did go to the property about 2 weeks ago to check for the farm animals, and I asked permission to see the backyard just to check to see if the animals were there. The adult daughter of the property owner stated that they do have 5 vehicles. We didn't catch the 5 vehicles during our early morning inspections. And then also during my inspection, I observed a large pile of tree debris by the shed that was taller than the shed, and also storage items around the backyard. So after going back to the office and reviewing the case, I realized that they never received a notice of violation for outside storage and litter.
Last month at our hearing, we had testimony that the one truck was used for it was a work truck. Can you tell me what company that truck belongs to?
That's for her husband's company, the kind of job he does.
Okay. Because we were kind of led to believe that he worked for a company and he kept the vehicle at the home. But from what you're saying, that truck belongs to your husband for his company? Do you have a business license to be running a business?
Oh, he works for a builder.
Okay,
For another person, yeah.
so we were told that the truck belonged to another person, right? Another business, and that essentially your husband was allowed to bring that truck home for work purposes. So my question goes back to what company does he work for?
¿Cómo se llama la compañía en la que trabajas? Avila Framing. That's the company he works for.
And do they have a business license?
Yes. ¿Tiene licencia de Avila? Yes.
Okay. CP, can you put the photo up, please, that was sent to the board last night? Okay, so the neighbors that testified back in September and then were here but then left, repeatedly see this parking arrangement outside your property. Who do these 3 white vehicles belong to that are in the road?
There is otros, esos que están ahí. That was probably a reunion or a birthday party because none of those vehicles are theirs.
Okay, because according to the neighbors, these vehicles are there every night and stay there through the night
No.
and then are gone
No,
in
we
the
have-
mornings.
They have she has a gray Toyota, a black Camry for the daughter, black Silverado for her son, and I think a GMC truck for working, for the personal use for Gonzalo, and the truck they use for work. That's it. There is no more cars than that. And the only reason they probably took that picture there is because if you can see, maybe in the picture, I can really see it really close to that, but in the driveway, it looks like there is some other cars. It had to be either family reunion or an event that was happening in that house, but it's not, they don't have that many cars in there. I'm sorry, they only have their own car, 5 cars.
So how many people reside in the home at night?
I would be,
Son 5 los que están en la noche.
no, la gente, ¿cuánta gente?
Somos
It's 6, that's 4 children she has, 2 boys, 2 girls, and her husband and her.
Los que están en la
And just like there is no garage in the house, it's just a driveway. So there is no way we can put cars inside the garage and park 2 outside. It's just,
Pero usamos el driveway, no usamos la.
yeah, and also the cars always parked in the driveway, never outside like that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So this is where I struggle because the opposition is not here. But the opposition testified at the Planning Commission hearing that this is pretty much, a routine issue with additional vehicles more than the 5 being parked on the property. So I'd like to kind of hear your thoughts on if we hold it and have the opposition come back again, or what are your thoughts on this?
Well, before that, I just needed a couple of questions for clarification regarding the animals, and I guess you, Lisa, if you can approach. I think, do you need to state your name again?
Yolisa Foster, Cobb County Code Enforcement.
Did you observe animals at the property?
No, ma'am.
You did
We
not?
received a complaint and also photos of animals in the backyard.
Okay. The photos that were in the slide that was up a short while ago, have you observed those vehicles at any point you inspected the property?
The officer that inspected the property has witnessed some of these vehicles, and during my inspection, I did see 2 of the vehicles. One of them is shown in front, the black vehicle, and I observed a pickup truck, a black pickup truck, and also, I think it was a Camry. Yeah, the black vehicle that's in the front of the driveway at the end, and then also a black pickup truck. None of the white vehicles were there, but the pictures that was provided to the officer while he was in the neighborhood inspecting shows the white vehicles. And the complainants are counting about 5 to 6 vehicles at the property daily.
So this is on the property? This is in the driveway?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I do also have a question regarding the van, the work van. I understand that he uses that for work, but there was a question as to whether or not he has a business license for the property, and I just wanted clarification on whether it's his business, and if not, then I'm not sure that he would need a business license at the property.
And so that's why I rephrased the question, because initially they said it was for his business, and then I can't repeat the business name without seeing it, but then he said he worked for a specific business.
Okay.
Because I did check with the business license, and there was no business license registered to that address. Because that was my concern from the last hearing, is he stated that he used the van to go pick up laborers during the day. So that was my question, you know, was it his own
Gotcha.
personal business, or did he work for someone? Because I thought that
Using the
was
vehicle.
unusual.
Okay, all right, thanks. Those were the only questions.
Yulissa did provide that when she went to the property, that the only outstanding issue appeared to be the vehicles. And it appears that there are 5 vehicles that are in play. It's possible, considering the picture that was shown on the screen that you said reflected the opposition's comments, that you can still address that if you were to decide on the matter today.
Well, the challenge with the photo is from the photo that Yulissa showed to the photo that the opposition showed, the configuration of the vehicles is changing, right? So law allows for vehicles to be parked on the right-of-way, so we can't restrict them from parking on the right-of-way. But I do have suspicion that there is more than 4 adults living in the home, in addition to the number of vehicles that are being parked at the home.
I hear you. I think our reliance is on code enforcement. I don't know if that was was that a code violation, the number of people, or was it the vehicles?
As far as single-family dwelling, based off the square footage of the property, they're allowed to have 4 adults and 4 vehicles outside of the garage daily. Out of the 4 adults, 1 can be non-related. The adult daughter of the owner admitted to having 5 vehicles. So we're not sure if there's 5 adults in the property or not, as I don't have an occupancy statement completed from them.
In the testimony, it was said it was the 1 individual, and then they had 4 children.
Okay. They didn't, yes, they didn't necessarily say the 4 children were all adult children.
Correct.
Well, 2
Also-
in college that have called.
Correct, that's what was, I agree, that's what was stated. Again, you have the ability to address that in your motion today, but I can also understand if you would like to defer so that opposition can be here and be heard.
I do think we need to give opposition the opportunity to weigh in. I know in one of the conversations that I had with an individual that was here to testify today, they were amenable to the 5, given the situation of the home. But again, it's the additional parking that is happening on the roadway, and then some other issues that are currently going on that I can't testify to, that they were bringing up, that was health, safety, well-being issues since the last hearing.
Okay.
So I guess with that, I'd like to make a motion to continue LUP 19 until, or hold, thank you, hold LUP 19 until the November 21st hearing.
Second.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. For the applicant, the residents that live in the area who also came today left because they didn't see the applicant here. They perceived that we were not going to hear this case. Because we haven't seen you, we wanted to hear from you today But what we would like is for you to come back to our next hearing in November so that you will be here along with the residents so that we can weigh both perspectives and come to a solution. Okay, so I just want to make sure you have that date so we can assure that you are here. Maybe somebody can even write this down and just hand it to them. You would come back on Tuesday, November 21st at 9:00 a.m. Yes, ma'am. 9:00 a.m. We may hear other cases first, but we just ask that you be present and be patient until your matter is heard that day. It is likely, I can't speak for the commissioner, it is likely we will make a decision in November, so I strongly encourage you to be present. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gamble, did you want to add anything else? Okay. Okay, John.
All right, thank you. Okay, next case we're going to hear is LEP 22, Mark Hurtado, request a temporary land use permit for converting buses to RVs in land lot 953 of the 19th District. The property is located on the south side of Hill Road, west of C.H. James Parkway. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to LEP 22? No. The director says there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Sir, you have 10 minutes for your presentation. I'll let you know when you have 2 minutes left, okay?
Okay. My name is Mark Hurtado, but I thought this was supposed to be on consent agenda, is what I was told 2 weeks ago. Come back for consent agenda, no opposition, you'll be out of here in 30 minutes. So I don't know why I'm having a hearing instead of I'm confused. Y'all see y'all's notes from 2 weeks ago?
Sir, this board makes the final decision, not the planning commission. So I'd advise you to use your time to actually present your case before this board because they're the one that makes the decision.
Okay.
Okay. In the spirit of saving time for everyone, Commissioner, are you amenable for this going on consent? No. Okay. All right. So we would like to hear this matter today.
Okay. Well, I applied for a land of use permit to convert school buses into RVs. I didn't know you couldn't have them on your property because they're too heavy. Okay, that's the only issue with a bus being there. And in the last hearing, I was given 6 months. They said it would be on a consent agenda to come back, and it would be heard first thing in the morning, and I would be out here by 9:30. So this is why I'm confused about having to present anything to you. I know y'all are different people, I can see that. But everybody else is here that was here the last time.
Okay.
And no one's
Yes.
opposed, no neighbors have opposed, no one's complained. I have a subdivision across the street. I have a building coming up next to me where they're going to put condos in, so.
As was shared, because they're different bodies, even though prior, no one may have had an issue, but there may be an issue for this board. That's why
Okay.
you're here today to
Okay.
present. Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to add other than the desired use you have to convert the buses to RVs?
No, I'm just trying to do it to sell them. There'll be nobody will be coming. I work by myself. I work inside the bus. It's about the same thing I told them before.
Okay, you have to tell us. We're a new body.
Yeah,
So,
it was just about the weight. You know, code enforcement seen a bus, so.
I see. So this, okay, I don't want to ask questions. This is your presentation. Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
That's it.
All right, thank you, sir. Again, seeing no opposition here today, I'll turn things over to the district commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to call up code enforcement just to provide a history on this site.
Good morning, Yolisa Forson, Cobb County Code Enforcement. We received a complaint in June of 2023 about there being about 10 buses in the backyard and in the front yard and having auto parts throughout the property. The property was inspected with Cobb Police and also the officer. And the officer observed a storage, litter, junk vehicles, and the customary home occupation, which is the buses being at the property, you know, the buses being parked on the grass and stuff stored all over the property. And the notice of violation was issued, and the officer went back to the property to check for compliance along with Cobb Police due to some ongoing issues that they're unable to inspect the property without police being present. They received a complaint from a citizen that was very upset about the conditions of the property. And then also additional complaints came in on top of that in regards to the buses being posted, advertised online. And we do have the advertisement saved. Citation was issued back in July for customary home occupation, and then more complaints was received showing the advertisement along with the buses, which grosses over 12,500 pounds. There was also non-compliance vehicles there with non-valid tags, items still stored, along with litter observed on the property. The case went to court, and the defendant pled not guilty.
Not correct. It's not been heard.
This is her opportunity, sir. Sir, please don't continue to speak over her when she's speaking. Sir, don't speak over me either, or you will not be able to stay in this room. Thank you. Go ahead.
As stated, in August, the case went to court and the defendant pled not guilty. The defendant requested a jury trial and the case was bonded over to state court. And at this present time, we are awaiting for a court date to be set for trial. The property was inspected on 10/16 and the violations remain. There are still buses at the property parked on the grass and no valid tags. And now there's a silver sedan on the grass for sale.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I'm just wondering where our officer is for today. Why don't we go ahead and take let's take a 5-minute break, and I'll have you come back. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, welcome back to our Board of Commissioners meeting this October 17th. We were in the middle of hearing LUP 22, and I believe our code enforcement officer was addressing some outstanding concerns at the subject property. Alyssa, you may proceed, and I apologize for that break during your presentation.
Thank you. So to finalize what I was stating, the property was inspected on October 16th, and the property remains in violations. There's still a significant amount of buses parked on the grass. There's vehicles without tags, and then there's another vehicle that was added to the property. It's a silver sedan that's parked on the grass for sale. We're not sure the status of all the vehicles, but we know that there's no tags on all of them. You know, some of them do not have tags, and some of them that we're unable to see.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just a couple of follow-up questions. You mentioned on several occasions that police escorted the inspectors to the property. Can you explain to us why that was the case?
On the first inspection, the officer came out on June 7th, and the first thing that states, it says, "Do not inspect property without police. I issued a notice of violation for outside storage, litter, noncompliance vehicles, litter, and customary home occupation to the owner. There are multiple buses parked on the grass. To the rear in the garage, there are tools and other items stored. The homeowner was yelling and screaming at me not to come onto the property, or else he said, police better be here the next time I inspect the property. He followed me out to the end of the driveway to his truck, yelling and screaming at me. There is multiple vehicles without tags. The bus are over gross vehicle weight and need to be removed."
Okay, thank you. And another follow-up question with respect to advertisement. You mentioned that a neighbor shared that the business was posted or advertised. Was that online? Was it some type of community posting, a sign in front of the property or at the property? How was it advertised? If you know, if not, that's fine.
It says that the officer receives an additional complaint today in reference to the owner posting a business advertisement online at the property. The ad was uploaded to OnBase.
Okay. And also, I had a couple of questions for the applicant that you might have during the time that you've inspected the property. You may be able to answer, but if not, it's okay. But I wanted to ask him, how long have he utilized the property to convert buses to RVs? If you have that information just based on your involvement, that's fine. If not, that's okay too.
I'm not sure how long he's done that, but there is another entry that states that he advertised his business on Facebook.
Okay, all right. Also, again, another question for the applicant that you might have the answer to, but my question is, does he have a license to sell the vehicles? Because he had testimony that he converts the school buses to RVs and then he sells them. So during your inspection, has that been uncovered, whether or not he has a license to sell those RV vehicles?
I'm not sure if he does have a license to sell, but under the ordinance, he's allowed to sell 3 of his personal vehicles from the property a year.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay, that was actually all I had for the applicant. Thank you for
Thank
filling
you.
in those blanks for me. Is there anything else?
Chair, if we could just, we took a break for 5 minutes for holding this meeting. At that point in time, I think it'd be fair for us to point out for the record that the applicant got up and left the meeting. We've waited an additional time beyond the 5 minutes for him to return. He has not returned since that time. So, and I don't know if Mr. Peterson had any contact with the applicant since that time.
And just for the record, I did follow the applicant outside, and I did let him know he needed to come back, and he waved me off and walked away.
Thank you, John, for that attempt.
Albeit risky, but thank you.
And noted for our records. Thank you.
Okay, well, I have prepared comments, and I'll just go ahead and put those on the record. But the land use permit for consideration was to allow the customization of school buses into recreation vehicles with the intent to sell the vehicles from a residential property. And by all, I guess, intent, there's no business license for him to do that, but I was not able to confirm that with the applicant. But the intense use of the property would be better suited in an industrial zoned area. The buses that are parked has become a problem for the neighbors and for the city of Powder Springs, who have submitted written opposition to the zoning application. This parcel is adjacent to the city of Powder Springs, and they were not supportive of this application. Originally, the application was denied by staff, and the Planning Commission approved the LUP for a 6-month period, but I am not in support of that recommendation, and I'm prepared to make my motion.
Okay.
Okay. I make a motion to deny LUP 22, 2023. All school buses and converted buses are to be removed from the property no later than January 16th, 2023.
Second.
Thank you. I would include the, not supplies, but storage that was also shared, that's going to be removed from the property as well.
Can I include that, Bill, since that wasn't part of the
But
application?
right now, we're just considering just the LUP. The other pieces
Okay.
regarding
Code
the
enforcement.
code
Part of
enforcement
code.
can still be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And then for our code enforcement officer, did you want to address the motion? Did I?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
No later than January 16, 2024, which will give him 3 months to,
And just for clarification, we're talking about LUP 22 of 2023.
Correct.
And the expiration date is for January 15th, 2024, 16th, January
2024, correct.
Thank you,
you.
Bill.
I'm good with that for a second.
Okay. All right, and our second is in support of those additions. Any other comments or questions? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
And our applicant has shown up for LUP 21. Madam Chair, so I'm going to call that one next.
Certainly.
LEP 21 of 2023, Leslie Gonzalez requests a temporary land use permit to allow more vehicles and adults than the code allows in land lot 795 of the 19th district. The property is located on the north side of Hawkins Court, east of Hawkins Road. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to LEP 21? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Good morning, Ms. Gonzalez.
Good morning.
Hi, if you may state your name for the record, and you have 10 minutes to present.
Leslie Gonzalez. Oh, I have to say why we want the permit?
Correct.
We would like the permit because we're a lot of siblings. We're 8 siblings, and we all have cars. And in the Hispanic community, we don't exactly move out once we turn 18. So we just want to be able to park there without getting as much citations as we currently have been getting, or the code enforcement coming and telling us about the vehicles, as there is nowhere else we could put the vehicles since there is 8 siblings, mom and dad. Only 3 of the siblings don't have vehicles, and that's the 17-year-old, 8-year-old, and 11-year-old, but the rest we do. And so with our vehicles and mom and dad's vehicles, it kind of forms a lot. So we would just want to be able to park like 7 vehicles at least. For right now, we don't park on the grass, as we do have space in the concrete on the driveway. So that would be the only reason why we want that, at least just temporarily while we start moving out in a bit. So just I guess that's the only reason why we want be able to park a little bit more than just 2 vehicles at a time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Again, seeing no opposition, John, this is not an OB. I'm going to turn things over to you, excuse me, Commissioner.
Thank you. I'd like to have Yulisa come up and just share some information and background on this property. I understand this one has also come before us for a code enforcement violation, or do you have any notes on this one? No? Okay. Okay, no worries.
If you can give her a moment, she's just looking through her files. For those who are watching, we're pausing to see if we have any code enforcement history on file that can be addressed during this hearing. Within the application itself, there is some code enforcement history that's been attached to the file that's in front of the commissioners, and that's available to the public.
Hi, Yulisa Faustin, Cobb County Code Enforcement.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Yulisa. I believe this one has come before us as a code enforcement violation. Can you just share the history with us a little on this one, please?
Well, we've had an active case. We've had multiple cases at the property. We still have an active case, and the property just went through early morning inspections, and the officer counted 7 vehicles at the property each day, which is a violation. They have some that are parked in the driveway, and then they have some that are parked on gravel, which is a violation of parking standards. We also have been to court for the same issue, and right now they're trying to resolve the issue of having too many vehicles by getting a land use permit.
Okay. Are any vehicles on the property commercial or work vehicles?
There was inspections to where there were work vehicles on the property, but that wasn't like recent. That was like in 2020. There was an issue where they had a box truck, and they got a notice of violation for customary home occupation, and they removed the box truck from the property.
Okay. And just to note, it appears that the code violations date back to January 22nd, 2020. Is that what your records reflect?
It does, and then we have prior cases that are closed.
Okay, okay. Okay. I don't have anything else for you, Lisa, unless you guys have something.
Elisa, I'm looking at the application, and can you confirm that for this home that up to 2 vehicles are permitted?
It's 1,000.
And while she's looking at it, Madam Chair, the house, according to tax records, has 1,050 square feet. So that would only allow 2 related adults or 2 cars on the property.
Okay. That's the clarification I was looking for. Okay. Thank you.
And just a note that a lot of these violations seem to start in 2020, which is also in conjunction with COVID, seems like, when these kicked up.
Well, Lisa mentioned that there were code enforcement violations before 2020. That's been closed out.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
this is before COVID.
Thank you. I wasn't sure how the dates are here. Thank you.
Thank you.
If the applicant would approach, please. Yes. She's so cute. She's so cute. You mentioned that there are 8 siblings. You have 8 siblings, and all siblings live at the property along with the parents. So would that be a total of 10 people?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so a total of 10 people. You also mentioned that you're working towards moving out, or some of your siblings are working
I'm
toward-
planning on moving out, and my home is getting finished, so that won't be until next year, though. So that's why, at least for my vehicle to be there and.
At least what?
For my vehicle, but to be able to park there. And I should be gone like sometime next year when we finish the house.
Okay. And what about for the other vehicles? Is there a plan?
The other ones, I'm not sure about them. Maybe my other brother might be moving out, but we're not completely sure. He is thinking about purchasing a home sometime next year, though. So that's still in plans. So I'm not completely 100% sure about him.
Okay, and is he the owner of one of the vehicles?
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's all I have for the applicant, unless you guys have something.
So all the adults or children in the house are related?
Yes.
And are any of the siblings in school, in college that would?
Yes.
When would they finish?
One of them is not going to finish until 2027. The other one, I'm not really sure about him. He told me he was starting school. I'm not sure if he really is, so not really sure.
I don't need your personal.
That's the one we pray for.
No, I was just wondering if they're students and they graduate, if they would be, moving out or what.
Yeah. The other one is still in McKeecher, the 17-year-old, but she doesn't have a car yet.
Okay.
Okay. And how many minors are at the property? Or, strike that. How many people at the property does not have a vehicle?
It would just be the 3 youngest siblings, the 17-year-old, the 11-year-old, and 8-year-old.
Okay. 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 That's all I have, unless you guys have something.
Just a follow-up question. So you said we are moving to your new home. Congratulations. So do you have a significant other that's staying with you in the house as well?
No, me and the baby.
Well, cuteness overload.
Well,
baby doesn't
she is cute, but I was just having a problem with the math, because if you have 8 individuals living in the house, and 3 of them don't have cars, the most cars you would need is 5, and you're asking for 7. That's why I was trying to figure out, maybe you had a significant other that was there as well that would count for a house.
He does come over, but he only comes over on the weekends since he's working out of town at the moment. And I will, if the police comes like in the mornings for an inspection, I don't want his car to be there and we get in trouble.
John or Bill, the 3 youngest, 17, 8, and 11, don't count as adults.
That's correct.
They're
No.
children.
Yeah.
And the baby's obviously a child. So there's really only 5 adults over,
Yeah, 5 adults and 5 vehicles
7.
over code.
No, it's, let me see, mom, dad, me, Richard, Shayla, Brandon, it's 6. And then if my husband comes over, like on the weekend since he's working, it's 7.
Okay, 6, but your earlier testimony, you said you had 8 siblings and you all lived
8
there.
eight
But now you're
siblings.
just saying 6, which includes mom and dad.
6 adults. The 3 youngest.
Got
don't.
it, okay, all right.
I'm sorry, sometimes
Okay.
I get confused with how many
Yeah,
siblings
and-
we are.
Yeah, thank you. Do you guys have anything else? Okay, thanks. Yeah, these are always tough. So in reading through staff comments, well, let's start with the code, which we all agree on the board that it needs to be revised to accommodate more than what we currently have, and we're working on that in the moment. The code just allows for 2 vehicles and 2 people. Based on the tax records, the square footage of the home is just a little over 1,000 square feet. And we're asked to consider 5 additional people and 5 vehicles, or we're being asked to allow more than what the code allows. But in also reading staff comments, I believe I saw the zoning comments that indicated that there is sufficient space to park the 7 vehicles. And just looking at the GIS map, there appears to be a significant amount of space there for the vehicles, but the question becomes how many would we allow, although the space is adequate. Some of my concern, and I am sensitive to the increase in requests to allow more unrelated adults and/or vehicles at a single-family residence. There seems to be an uptick of this request over the past year for a number of reasons, whether it's the economy, families growing, et cetera. But while the need is growing, I'm generally concerned when the requests are a result of code enforcement violations, because that signals to me that not only are you not complying with code as it relates to the number of vehicles, but there also seems to be a lack of consideration in other areas with respect to some of the other code violations. But just based on the code enforcement case synopsis, there's been parking on the grass, items stored outside of the house, such as a propane tank, oil containers, tools, car parts, bricks, broom, dustpan, and other items. At one point, there was an observation of 11 to 12 vehicles at the property at 6:28 in the morning. But in reading some of the subsequent reports, it appears that those numbers, or the number of vehicles, have decreased over the months. So there seems to be some willingness on the applicant's part to come in compliance. The code enforcement violations, again, they date back, at least what we have attached to this file, dates back to January of 2022. through July 10th of 2023. But again, it's not just for the number of vehicles, it's for the other items that I mentioned a short while ago, including issues for the gutter and shutter repairs. The repeated violations lead me to conclude that there's very little regard for consideration for the neighbors or the community. However, I am willing to consider an increase in the number of vehicles at the property, primarily based on the space or the available space in the driveway. So with that, I am prepared to make my motion. Just give me a minute, And I think the last code enforcement, there were 7 vehicles at the property. Let me just look. Okay. Okay. There was testimony shared earlier that in your culture, you don't typically move out when you turn 18. But what I am forced to kind of balance is being sensitive to your culture and the needs of your family, but also upholding the code as it is written for Cobb County, the same code that we expect others to also uphold. So with that, I make a motion hold on. Was there a time frame recommendation on this? I thought I saw 24 months, but let me just double check. Was that 24 months? Okay. Okay. Thanks, I couldn't find. Okay. All right. I make a motion to approve LUP 21 for 2 additional vehicles, for a total of 4 vehicles, for a period of 12 months. I'm just a little hesitant on imposing the additional people, but they're all relatives, so I don't think that that would be a concern. So that is my motion. Again, I'll just repeat my motion. I approve LUP 21, 2023 for a period of 12 months for a total of 4 vehicles. If the applicant decides to reapply, you must reapply before the end of the 12-month period.
And Commissioner Sheffield, do you want to address the number of adults also?
Pardon?
Do you want to address the number of adults in the house?
There are 6 adults in the house, and there are 2 allowed. See, this one is where it gets a little difficult for me. Okay, so for the number of adults, I will add an additional 2 adults along with 2 additional vehicles. Again, for the same 12-month period. Yes. The applicant mentioned that she's moving into her home next year, so that will likely reduce one of the adults at the property. Yeah.
We need a second for discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, second for discussion.
Okay.
Do we want to set a compliance period so that may be able to accommodate a move out?
What do you mean?
like how long to give them to be in compliance with
The other
the four.
vehicles?
Right.
Okay.
So that way, I mean, knowing that they're moving in 6 months, for instance, I just,
No, that's a good point. No, her point is to give a time frame on the removal of the other vehicles. Okay.
And I think it was also to find, new housing, as well as moving the vehicles.
Right, which she's going to move into her new place next year, so 12 months might be sufficient, and they always have the opportunity to return to resubmit an application.
So my question is, instead of putting a move-out timeline on it, what if we just do the LUP for, 12 months, 9 months, shorten the time of the LUP to allow them to move out and then come into compliance that way?
Well, I'm comfortable with the 12-month LUP. I'm 12, so I don't want to shorten that period.
For the
Just-
7 adults?
just to,
No, for the 4 adults and the 4.
so just to clarify,
Vehicles.
I think what I'm hearing, 2 options. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a shorter LUP, that is the full request to allow for whatever
I see.
rearrangements occur, or a 12-month LUP with a time period to come into compliance so that there is adequate time for them to, according to the case, remove their vehicles, but what we do know with context is for them to move.
I see what you mean.
And then the only other comment that I forgot to say before was maybe it seemed like there was the litter around the, like restricting the parking and stuff, to add that to the motion from the grass and, well, I guess it's a code violation, so never mind. Continue on. Kidding.
Yeah. Okay, so I see the recommendation, or what you guys are suggesting, is to approve the 7 and 7, but just have a 6-month period to give them an opportunity. Pardon?
Yes, just considering the climate around housing, I would
Yeah.
think the 12-month might be more reasonable.
Yeah,
To
that's where I
get,
was
to meet you
leaning.
where you are, but to also recognize they asked for 24 months.
Right,
Maybe this
so
is
the
some
12
meeting in the
months,
middle.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have a question. Is there a garage? Are any cars parked in the garage, or is there
It
a
appears to
garage?
be a carport, maybe.
There's a carport?
It appears to be. We can ask that. Oh, I'm not sure if we can ask since the
In the
motion
middle
is
of
on
the
the
motion.
floor.
No.
And that's Bill,
But-
this typically is just closed when we.
Typically, that you've started deliberations and.
Well, what we know is that there's sufficient space in the driveway for the vehicles, so whether or not they have a garage and it's being used, I don't.
For 7?
Yeah, there's sufficient space for 7 vehicles. Okay. Okay, then I will amend my motion. I will approve LUP 21 for a 12-month period, and I will grant the request for 7 vehicles and 7 persons to give the family an opportunity to make arrangements. It was shared earlier that at least 1 and possibly 2, your brother may also purchase a home next year, that will give you an ample opportunity or time to make arrangements. So that's my motion, my amended
Second.
motion.
And then after that 1 year, they would have to come into compliance or come back here for renewal?
Yeah, which I shared with her already.
Correct, is that clear? Again, I just want Commissioner Burrow to restate that, or I can restate that. If you are not in compliance with 2 adults and 2 vehicles after 12 months, you need to come back and reapply before the end of the 12-month period, so you're not in violation again. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions, commissioners? Call the question. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Wow. Okay, that's right. The other business item, we moved on consent. With that, thank you, everyone, for being here and tuning in today. Our meeting is now adjourned.